You'll love that.
Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.
Hello and welcome to episode 425 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Join me as always is the alert and wide awake League Freak. You can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going, mate?
Going really well. Turns out that being awake during the day is a good thing.
This is fucking weird.
I like it though.
It's crazy. Just want to let you know. There's a bit of news going around.
Okay.
There was one in the paper today about Nathan Cleary having dinner with a female, which must mean, according to the old people in the media there, because she's female and he's not, he must be fucking her.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably disappointed that they weren't rooting on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, for all they know, it could just be like his cousin, a friend, a random person you just want to have a chat with. Who the fuck knows, and why does it even fucking matter?
Yeah, it's weird that they, I don't understand the focus on, like there's this weird focus on him off the field. And I get that people are interested in him because he's a top player, but I've never been interested in footy players away from the field. And so when I see it, it's kind of strange. But there's like I don't know, with Nathan Cleary, I feel like there's a nastiness about it, the way that his off-field stuff is covered. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because, can you imagine going out for dinner with anyone and there's somebody sticking a camera, at you and taking photos and thinking that that's cool? That's where the media is at now, where they just think they can do whatever they want. And the funny thing is, if Nathan Cleary went up to them and said, "Can you please leave me alone?" they'd say, "Oh, he's fucking arrogant. He's fucking arrogant. He needs to remember who pays the bills." And it's weird. It's, I saw on Twitter on the weekend, there was a lot of speculation about something that allegedly happened with a, somebody that's in the media, rugby league media, who likes to fling a lot of shit at players. And I won't say who it was, but Twitter was talking about it.
Staff writers.
Hey?
Staff writers.
Yeah, let's just say it was staff writers. And, yeah, that shit never gets out because they don't talk about themselves.
No.
They're all hovering above the rest of humanity.
Well, it's because they know that their entire business model is completely shat on if the people constantly slinging shit at players actually is covered in shit themselves.
Yeah.
So they can't be in a position of having any authority or having any sort of audience if they're worse than the person that they're condemning.
True.
So it's the only thing that they all agree on is let's not shit talk each other.
Exactly. Anyway, big shout out to Alcoholics Anonymous 360.
There you go. And I just want to also say that there's a fair chance that there could be a female who might go around to Nathan Cleary's place in the next 6 to 8 years and deliver food to him.
Yeah.
It could be his mother. It could be Uber Eats. Don't know. But you can be guaranteed that the Daily Telegraph will be there with a camera on his nuts to see if he's fucking them or not.
Breaking news. Female interested in male footballer who's a millionaire.
Or not interested. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe not. Either way, it's breaking news.
It's breaking news. Female rugby league player must be rooting.
Speculation. That's what they say. When they're like, we don't even know what to make up, they just say speculation.
The media loves nothing more than talking about rooting and knobs. Yes. And speaking about knobs, there's talk that Shane Flanagan has been linked now with the Gold Coast Titans.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, so they're upgrading. They're not getting a St. Helens coach there.
Wow. Well, it's good that they're not getting a St. Helens coach because we know the record of St. Helens coaches, although I said at the end of the year we need to revisit the win percentage of St Helens coaches based on what Mick Potter is doing at the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
He might get up to 40% if it keeps going. It'd be good.
He's breaking the mold.
Yeah. But look, Shane Flanagan, I think that it's just avoid. Like, how many ways does a dude need to prove he's not fit or capable or the right person to be involved with a football club at any single level? I don't care how he feels about it. I wasn't the one that was breaking the salary cap and doing all of that other shit he was doing at the Cronulla Sharks. So I think any club that even considers him is fucking insane. Yep. And I tend to think that most clubs aren't even that insane. I don't think he'll end up at the Gold Coast Titans, because if you think of everyone that he's been linked to by his media buddies, and none of them he's just never got a foot in the door with any of them.
I mean, if you can't get a gig at the West Tigers as a coach, I mean, most people have coached there, and especially in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where they're willing to give a 7-year-old man and a bloke who's never coached a fucking second of rugby league in their life the gig ahead of Flanagan, shows you how fucking retarded the Titans will be if they sign him.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
How many clubs do you reckon have got better management and a better run than the West Tigers?
Oh, none.
So it's nuts.
Yeah. Look, even the Newcastle Knights, who are dumb as fuck, are better run than the West Tigers.
Yeah, they are.
Like, and the Newcastle Knights are as dumb as fuck. But yeah, way better than the West Tigers.
I mean, case in point, there's speculation that they might be about to get rid of David Klemmer, because basically, I'm not. This is not verbatim. Basically, told the trainer to fuck off because he doesn't want to come off the field. Yeah.
Look, any time that
we don't know if that's what he said or not, but apparently the trainer said, you got to come off. And he's like, I don't really have to. If you want me to come off, mate, you take me off.
Sounds like date nights I've had. I don't come off on command. Look, I have never heard of a rugby league front rower telling a trainer that they're not leaving the field. I think it's a disgrace, and he needs to be kicked out of the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. I tell you what,
I tried some Star Friday shit then. I'm sorry.
I know. It's look, if the West Tigers, I'll say it loud enough, hopefully they hear. If they're smart enough, they might just say, you know what? I think it'd be best for David Klemmer to go back to Sydney, because he just doesn't look like he's at home and enjoying himself. And we'd be happy to give him a home out here in one of the 95 suburbs that we represent.
Look, it's very possible that the West Tigers will sit down in late November, early December, and consider it.
Next year, after he's already signed.
Well, yeah.
Oh, we missed the boat on him. I mean, we put an offer to him and didn't hear back because he'd already signed a 5-year deal with someone else.
Exactly.
So yeah, nuts.
Has there ever been a player that went, in quotes, back to Newcastle, back home, back to the Hunter, and it turned out good for them? Like, I know Willie Mason did it. That didn't really work out great, although his career was pretty much finished by then.
Well, he was a Newcastle junior, but he didn't actually make his debut for the Knights.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like the players like that say, because Klemmer was the same. He was like, oh yeah, I'm going back home. And it just seems like it never works out when they do that up Newcastle way.
That's a good question.
I'll
see if I can find any instances here. I don't think I will. This is going to take a while, so I'll just scroll through while we talk about other stuff.
So just on the West Tigers, and we talked a little bit about this before the podcast, the West Tigers were unhappy about the fact that Penrith most likely still getting their stadium. When teams like the West Tigers, they don't get upgrades at all to their stadiums. And I said on Twitter that the West Tigers have more stadiums than they've had coaches this year, and that's pretty impressive because they had Maguire, they've had Kamali, they had that interim guy that was in when Kamali and Sheens got COVID, and then Sheens basically is waiting until they do good, and then he'll start saying, well, yeah, I'm making all the decisions now.
He's making all the decisions when the Tigers win. When they're losing, it's that's Kamali. He's a bit green behind the ears, so you could expect these.
The fucking development coaches, hey. But yeah, so they're doing that, and then obviously they're meeting with the NRL, trying to get a game overturned from 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys, which they are also continue to threaten legal action about to, I can't ever remember a result on a sporting field being overturned in a court, but, they're trying. And then...
No, you know what? They're not trying.
Well, they're not trying.
They've got to the point where I think now the emotion's gone out of it all. Everyone has moved on, just as we all thought they would. And the Tigers are left holding this paper bag full of dog shit.
Yeah.
And they're going, can someone take this off us, please? And I was just sitting around going, the music stopped. You got to live with that, buddy. It's your present.
Exactly. They're trying to get out of last place and,
so
be equals last.
They're trying to look tough on a matter that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
So they're going, we're going to keep going and we're going to keep pushing. And the talk with the NRL is, can we bury this bit in a way where you kind of make like you've done something good for us?
Exactly. And then
look, we'll give you $5 to patch up one of the seats at Leichhardt. And I'm like, that's amazing. We'll talk about how great the NRL are and how they're supporting us and getting Leichhardt upgraded and blah, blah, blah. And then we move on.
So then they are also saying that they believe the current loan system is ridiculous and shouldn't be allowed, and it's ridiculous. The NRL is allowing high-placed teams to pilfer lower-placed teams, leaving aside the fact that the West Tigers are the ones allowing all of their own players to leave the club
there's been
for these teams.
Outside of the COVID-related stuff, nearly every single transfer is with a West Tigers player.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Tigers have acted pretty quickly, I must say, in bringing through debutants who probably they couldn't have been able to afford under the cap had they not done the transfers or the loans in the first place. So, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and it's good to see the West Tigers bringing in juniors now that they have got a little bit of salary cap relief by moving on those players that they signed that were terrible on terrible contracts. The point is that the West Tigers want you to not focus on West Tigers management. They want you to focus on everyone else, and it's been a tactic. Yeah, it's a tactic that they've used time and time again. I mean, we all remember the famous issue where Potato, the CEO, started counting how many people were on the hill at Panthers games and like how fucking ridiculous that was. And it's just a joke. Like, I hope that West Tigers fans don't fall for it because it'd be really easy to fall for it and be like, yeah, that's an outrage, when really the outrage is that these people are involved in running a rugby league team.
And can't be removed.
Yeah, there's zero mechanism for them to be voted out or moved, and in Potato's case, sacked because performance issues. They're last. They made finals ever under his watch. They've gone through half a dozen coaches, so performance issues will never get Potato sacked, and the board can't be voted out. So everyone's just happy. Everyone's great.
And dad joke alert, all Potatoes should be sacked. How else are you going to move them around? Moving on.
Okay, so some good news overnight that we heard was the Greek Rugby League has finally been accepted by, I guess, the Greek government as being a sport all in its own right and not just rugby, which was a problem for many, many years and caused them a lot of legal issues. It caused them to have to sneak around and play games and play ducks and drakes with training and all sorts of terrible issues. And it's good that in the World Cup year, they've finally been recognised as their own sport in Greece. So that's a positive thing.
Yeah. And the negative to that is the fact that we didn't get any of that news from the International Rugby League.
No. Well, the International Rugby League's fucking useless. We know that.
So
remember when the head of the International Rugby League, when COVID was really, really bad and a really big concern, and he was running around pretending that he ran International Rugby League, and Australia and New Zealand just kind of were like, buddy, nah, we run this shit. And then they made a decision, and then he pretended he made a decision. It was funny that.
That was very, very interesting indeed. So, you know, a mate of mine who I've worked with for quite a while as a writer is very, very involved in the Greek Rugby League team, has been for a long, long time. And so he revealed the news a day and a half ago, and I thought, I sat on it going, surely the International Rugby League is going to say something about this. I'm not out there trying to be a fucking journalist breaking news. But it's also a significant thing that people need to know about it. And when no one said shit about it, I thought, well, I'm going to announce it. Fuck it. So that was the big news that came out of there. And it's absolutely brilliant news. He's hoping that a lot of other similar incidents around the world will follow suit, and the game will be able to leap forward in leaps and bounds very, very quickly all around the world.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And then there'll be just so many more international sides that can beat England.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be really good.
PVL is having a bit of a whinge with the federal government about the funding backflip for the stadium's rebuild.
Yeah, it's the state government. Look, this story's continuing on. He's still saying he'll move the grand final. It seems as though Penrith Stadium is probably going to go ahead. Although
the Spud will be happy about that.
Yeah,
he can watch the whole thing.
Exactly. Although, as I said yesterday, until they start digging the fucking ground up, I'm not certain that that's going to go ahead. But it seems like that is in place. But all of the other upgrades look like they're off the table now. We'll see what happens with that. I've got no fucking idea. Like, I don't know who the premier is at this stage. It tends to chop and change. Yeah, but it tends to chop and change depending on like the ICAC, unfortunately.
Wow, so corruption does that to people.
Oh, I'm not saying that anyone's corrupt. All I'm saying is the ICAC does. So we'll see what happens there. Some other news overnight was that Pat Carrigan got a 4-week ban for his hip drop tackle that broke Jackson Hastings' leg. So that, I don't know, it feels like, and I still haven't seen the tackle, so I can't say whether it was really, really bad or not, but I just think if it was obviously an illegal tackle and it did break Jackson Hastings' leg, well, I mean, 4 weeks seems pretty.
The problem we got here, okay, and it's always been an issue, is if a player gets injured badly from a tackle, and you can have an exactly identical tackle when no one gets injured being played, the mechanics of it can be almost identical, and no one gets injured, and the carryover points of both players who commit the tackle are identical, you will find both of them get suspended differently.
Yeah.
I think 4 weeks is far too much. I think that's entirely a response to the injury, and less so on the actual tackle itself.
Okay.
It was a hip drop tackle. I'd probably give it, I don't know. I don't see hip drop tackles as being that big a scourge or that big of a drama. I think the NRL has been able to crack down on it reasonably well. I don't know. I've given it 1 or 2 weeks. I think that's probably all.
Okay.
But it looked bad.
Okay.
I mean, those hip drop tackles, it's hard to do one of those with malicious intent because, like, if you've got malicious intent, you want to fucking hurt someone. You're not going to go and grab them around the waist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
You don't go, I'm going to fucking smash this guy. Let me just take the dancing pose with him. A slow waltz, maybe?
I actually heard a goofball on the radio yesterday. I don't want to say who it was, but it's one of those typical idiot goofball moron fat. And he was saying that they should ban wrestling coaches, right? And the person that he said that to was like, the wrestling coaches don't actually teach wrestling. They teach us sort of how to keep hold of players and bring players to the down. Because look, a tackle is wrestling. Like, you can't tackle someone without it's literally wrestling someone to the ground. And this guy who just had no fucking idea what he was talking about kept saying, "Oh, I'm telling you, all these injuries are because of the wrestling coaches and the UFC people that get in to be wrestling coaches." And it's like, you fucking dummy. You dumb idiot. That's all I could think.
It's not like they've got Kurt Angle out there showing them how to put on ankle holds and doing suplexes and shit. I mean, fucking hell.
Exactly. Do you remember when Parramatta had that? I don't know if you'll remember this. This is a long time ago now, where they had a workout machine and it was called the Dominator. And,
I do remember this.
Yeah, and it was basically, it looked like
something out of that what was that TV show in the 90s? Gladiators or something like that.
Yeah. And so you'd grab a handle. I think from memory, you'd grab a handle with both hands. It was almost like a bike handle that was turned upside down. You'd twist it and then you'd push it down to the ground, and it had a weight on it. It had a resistance. And people saying, "Oh, this is why there's so many head slams in the game." And people within the Eels were having to say, "No, this works out parts of our body that are really hard to isolate through weight training. We can do it with this machine." And it's just a weight machine. It's not a head slam machine. But what the media's like, they're all a bunch of fucking moronic reactionary dickheads. And it was funny to hear some of that yesterday in the radio.
Yeah, they're clueless clowns.
They really are.
Apologies to all the clowns out there who have a clue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been an interesting few days. Just when we thought we got all the news sorted out yesterday, there's a shit ton more today.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I'll tell you what, there is some breaking news, which has actually genuinely shocked me. Because I've just gone over to the Fox Sports website, and there's an article on there saying that Adam O'Brien's career could be on a knife's edge.
No, why?
Oh, it doesn't matter why. I'm just surprised that anyone at Fox Sports has the balls to dare criticise Matty Johns' team in any way.
I cannot wait to find out who Matty Johns says is the next coach they should get. It'll be something like, who they should target? Trent Barrett. He's learned a lot of lessons. He's learned a lot in his time at Manly. And
He's a great attack coach at Penrith.
Yeah, it'll be really funny to see.
It's a pretty tough situation for him at the Bulldogs because he had Phil Gould pretty much pulling all the strings behind play, so we never got to see what he could do there. Man, I'm getting good at this.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our weekly preview. Are you pumped, Andrew?
Yes.
I am pumped as well.
Full of Gold Coast coffee. Let's get into it.
Excellent. Well, the first game of the round sees somebody's. It's got to be that one Roosters supporter. Listen, your Sydney City Roosters taking on the Brisbane Broncos. The Sydney City Roosters are favourites with Palmerbet, our wonderful sponsor, who was sponsoring the podcast all year. Go to palmerbet.com. The best odds in the game. Gamble responsibly. The Sydney City Roosters in the head-to-head are at $1.55, while the Brisbane Broncos are at $2.40. The Broncos having a 4.5-point handicap at $1.90, while with the the Brisbane Broncos have a 4.5-point head start at $1.90. The the Sydney Roosters have the 4.5 point handicap, also at $1.90.
Who's got the handicap?
The Roosters have a handicap.
Right,
is what
gotcha.
I'm saying. Yeah.
I gotcha. I find that hard to believe. They've got Nick Politis. Look, this is going to be an interesting one. I wasn't very impressed with how the Broncos defended more than anything else last week, but I think a lot of what they were doing wrong, they've probably been doing wrong to some extent all year. Mm-hmm. But to have it exploited by the worst team in the comp is not a very good, thing to have happen when you're into the run to the finals.
Yeah.
The Broncos have got a few players out. Obviously, Carrigan out is a big one. Hetherington comes in at lock. Cobbo's back in the side as well. And Turpin will be on the bench, I believe.
I tipped the Roosters in this one.
I'm leaning that way.
Yeah, just because they're more consistent. I think that the Broncos at their best are better than the Roosters at their best. But the Broncos are so inconsistent.
That performance last week was very concerning. Like you'd forgive it if it was against a team like Penrith, Sharks, Cowboys, Storm. You know what? Those teams are designed to figure out those issues really well and exploit them.
Yeah.
But to have the worst team in the comp do that, and to only score 2 tries against one of the worst defensive teams in the comp, there's a lot wrong there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they took the Tigers lightly, but just a lot. There's very little to take from that game that was good to look at. The Roosters' only concern there is Lindsay Collins is out, and he's been replaced in the front row by Matt Lodge. Matt Lodge's off-field stuff aside. The problem I've got with Lodge when he's on the field does have a short fuse and does give away far too many penalties. And when you've already got JWH in the team, who's a bit of a loose cannon there already, they could be given away. Like if they start having to chase points, I wouldn't be surprised if Lodge especially starts giving away a few stupid fucking penalties and buries the Roosters. But that's the only thing that would hurt them. I see the Roosters winning this.
Yeah, it's hard to tip against the Roosters. Although the $2.40 in the head-to-head for the Broncos is pretty nice, I got to say. Like I look at that and I'm like, So Friday evening's game, the 6 p.m. game in the eastern states of Australia, sees the Melbourne Storm taking on the Gold Coast Titans. In the head-to-head... Yeah. Next. On Palmerbet.com, the Melbourne Storm are favourites in the head-to-head at $1.15, while the Gold Coast Titans are at $5.50. The Gold Coast Titans have a 16.5 point head start at $1.90, while the 16.5 point handicap, the Melbourne Storm are also $1.90. I think, the 16.5 point handicap with the Storm, $1.90. I would take that on Palmerbet.com.
Okay, the Storm have got Tyron Wishart at fullback. Now, remember when, it was only a year or two ago, when Nico Hines first came on and started being a replacement for Pappenhausen at fullback.
Mm-hmm.
And then he made a name for himself as a genuine NRL level fullback in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
This Wishart is very, very capable of doing the same thing.
They've tried him a few times and
they put him in different places though. Like he's been on the wing, he's played a bit of 5'8", but it looks now he's going to get the rest of the year at fullback, and I think that's going to be the best thing for him. He has been trained by, I know I've said it a few times, been trained by Slater all off season.
Mm-hmm. I'm still waiting to see, and it happens with some players where you wait, like they go out there and they don't really stand out, and you're waiting for the spark to. Or like they just get it at one point, and some players, they do it in their first touch of the ball. Other players, it takes 5 years for them to do it. I keep watching for it to happen with him. I think it eventually will happen. And I think if he does play fullback for the rest of the year, that would be really good for him and probably help him get there quicker.
I'll give him 2 or 3 games to really find his feet and sort of get settled. He hasn't had a chance to settle anywhere yet.
Mm-hmm.
And to come in against this out of sorts Titans side is probably a pretty good way to go about it. Pretty good spine for the Storm here, obviously, with Munster, Hughes, and Harry Grant all in the run-on side, and Brandon Smith sitting on the bench. This is probably the best the Storm side has looked since Origin, considering all the injuries they've got. Nofaluma's on the wing, but thankfully he's got Marion Sevi on the inside, so Sevi won't need him. So that'll be fine. He's just got to defend. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think at this stage, Bellamy's going to say, right, we got that win, we got the monkey off the back, now we're going to just start destroying teams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can recapture a little bit of their magic. I tell you what, Big Tino, the way he's playing at the moment, I'm happy to watch the Gold Coast Titans play just to watch him. He is so damn good. He is amazing. And whenever I watch him, I always think of like the World Cup at the end of the year, and I think like England has no idea this guy exists.
No, that's right.
It's going to be so good.
So the Titans have got Booth at hooker, young guy. They've moved Clark out to lock. Tino's into the front row. Bit of shuffling around there, obviously, but they're still kind of all in the same sort of location on the field in the middle there, so it's no real drama.
Yeah.
Tanner Boyd at halfback. Jaden Campbell's now starting at fullback. The spine's looking a little bit more threatening, which is what they've needed for a while. So they should be okay. Obviously, it's good to see they're starting to bring in a few new faces as well, because, you know, that's what you do when your season's over.
Yeah. Although I think that they should have left Sexton in the side.
Oh, yeah, they should have done. I think what they've done, they've sent him to reserves just to get a bit of confidence back, probably. Possibly. Yeah, I'm expecting Storm to run up a score here.
Yeah, they really are. They're due for one of those games where they horrify you, where it's like, I was just comfortable with maybe thinking the Storm would be a normal team, not this fucking juggernaut. So in the next game, the Friday night game on Palmerbet.com, we have the Manly Warringah Seagulls at home. The ground is sour, playing against the Parramatta Eels, Jake Arthur's team now. And this is a close one. The Manly Warringah Seagulls on Palmerbet.com are slight favourites at $1.85, while the Parramatta Eels are at $1.95. The Parramatta Eels have a 1.5 point head start at $1.90. While with the 1.5 point handicap, the Manly Warringah Seagulls are also at $1.90. I tipped the Manly Warringah Seagulls in this game. I feel like this is one of those games where the Eels have lost their halfback. Jake Arthur will come in. I think he's a fine player. I don't see any problems there. But it just feels like one of those games that the Eels will lose, and the Eels fans will be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, look, Manly's got their Godbotherers back.
Oh, man, come on now.
They've got Ben Trebojevic on the bench, which I think is a good idea. They need to be giving him much more game time.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if Parramatta changes that run-on side. I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if they put Perham at fullback, Gutherson at 6, Brown at 7, or Brown at 6, Gutherson at 7, something like that, and Arthur on the bench maybe. I just think they're going to be in a situation here where they don't want to trial the run into the finals with some part-time player in the spine, especially in the halves. So I think they might be more tempted to put Gutherson in the halves and put a proper fullback in the seam.
So I get that thinking. I really do. But I would change the least amount possible if I was them, because I like Arthur as a player. I don't know why he gets grief from Parramatta fans. I think he's a pretty handy halfback. So I would just put Arthur straight in and see how he goes. And hope that the infrastructure that's around him can just keep them, going in the right direction, because they can't afford to lose all these games running into the finals. And I don't think they will. I think that they'll do all right. But There's something about. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, well, that's kind of the point though about not wanting to take too many risks with fresh faces in the side, because this is one game they need to win, given Manly's just below them on the ladder.
Yeah.
They definitely need to get this win here, and so in my mind, it would be smarter to play safe on this one.
Yeah.
Just so you don't give Manly a leg up as an opportunity to get above you on the ladder. You need them to lose as many games as possible, and you don't want them to win any games at the expense of the Eels, if you're Parramatta. But I've got no issue with Arthur either. I'm definitely not disagreeing with your view there. He's got a handy enough kicking game, and I mean that's all you need to replace Moses, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And like I think that he needs to leave the Eels to sort of further his career. Like, I tell you what, I'd rather have Jake Arthur at halfback than Brooks. I'd say that.
Okay, so coming up next, we've got the Rabbitohs versus the Warriors. What's Palmerbet got for us there?
So, Palmerbet has the South Sydney Rabbitohs as heavy favourites against the Warriors. In their head-to-head, they're at $1.13, while the New Zealand Warriors are at $6. The New Zealand Warriors have a 17.5-point head start at $1.90, while with the 17.5-point handicap on palmerbet.com, the South Sydney Rabbitohs are also at $1.90. I think the Rabbitohs will cover their handicap. I think $1.90 against the Warriors for them to beat them by 18 points, basically. I think I'd take that.
Yeah, they'll have that done after about 20 minutes.
Yeah. The Warriors are all over the place at the moment. Stacey Jones has not inspired me at all as their head coach. And, I think that their season's going to have a real sad ending.
Yeah, they've made a lot of crazy changes. Wade Egan's gone from hooker to 5'8". I don't know why you do that. At least they got Walsh back at fullback, I guess, but there's just stuff going on everywhere with that side, and their defence is and has been for a while. Clumsy. I think it's the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. It's poor at times. At other times, it's okay. But then when it does break down, it breaks down in the dumbest ways.
Yeah.
And this South team is just full of blokes who run hard. And if you have any weaknesses in your defensive line, they will roll through it. And then you've got Latrell out the back, who will capitalise on all of that, as he's been doing since he came back.
Mm-hmm.
I expect him to have a huge game here, and I wouldn't be surprised if South rack up 50.
Yeah, it's they look capable of doing it the last few weeks. So let's see how they go. Now the next game, this will be spicy. On Palmerbet.com, we have the Canberra Raiders taking on the Penrith Panthers down there in freezing cold Canberra. So the head-to-head has the Canberra Raiders still as outsiders at $2.25, while the Panthers are at $1.50. The Penrith Panthers have a 2.5-point handicap at $1.90, while with the 2.5-point start, the Canberra Raiders are also at $1.90. I don't know about this game. I think that the Raiders are definitely a chance to win it. And the Raiders should make hay while the sun shines, because, this is about the best chance that they'll have in the next 10 years of beating the Panthers. But I could still see the Panthers just grinding them away and just playing the percentages and winning this one.
I've got a stat for you.
Okay, hit me with it.
And for all Panthers fans, this is actually probably going to surprise you as well as make you happy.
Okay.
Since Nathan Cleary made his NRL debut, Penrith have won 68.66% of their games when he has played, and 74.07% when he hasn't.
Holy crap. That's crazy.
He's holding you back.
Yes. He's the problem.
He's the problem.
I bet there'll be some stat dickhead out there that starts that bullshit, hey? You know how you get some people, they use stats and they just decide that it's some absolutely ridiculous shit. And it's like, yeah, but you got to use your eyeballs as well, dude.
Exactly. I think the number of games that he's missed is around about 20 out of 150 160 odd games since he made his debut.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly a level playing field, but yeah, there you go. 74% without him there, mate. Panthers are on.
How crazy is just the winning percentage over the time that he's been a first grader at Penrith?
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
It's insane.
Yeah.
The thing, so a lot of people are going to look at this game and go, Cleary's not there, so therefore their attack's rooted. And you go, you know what? To some extent, that might be the case.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that isn't changed a great deal, though, is their defence. And that has been the thing that they've relied on 100% under Ivan Cleary.
Yeah.
Is their defence does all the hard work and their attack finishes the game off over the top of it. So Canberra hasn't been one of those red-hot attacking teams. And, you know, they used to be a really good attacking team when you think 2016 to 2018, 2019. They could rack up big scores every now and then. They're not that sort of team now.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're struggling to score points at the moment, they're going to struggle even more so against the Panthers. The only thing that's going to work in their favour is that Penrith's attack is not going to be as crisp, so the Panthers aren't going to race away with the game or anything like that. I expect Penrith to win, probably by 10, 12 points at the absolute maximum.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of an arm wrestle, but with Penrith prevailing. The thing I think I could see where some of Canberra's youngsters, they still make mistakes every so often, and you just can't really do that against Penrith because they'll just put their foot on your neck and just strangle you, you know. So, I still can't look past the Panthers in that one.
No, so long as, especially Leota and Fisher-Harris, make good meters through the middle,
mm-hmm.
and you get the likes of Kikau and Martin, especially, as well as Yo, are able to help shield O'Sullivan a fair bit for the kicking part of the attacking sets.
Yeah.
They should be fine.
Yeah.
And it's not like you ask them to do anything different to what they usually do. Yo's always loitering around Cleary anyway, so I would expect that wouldn't change too much.
Yeah, and just the fact that they went through this sort of thing just a few weeks ago through Origin puts them in a good position, and they won all those games too. So, it's not the worst place for the Panthers to be in. Now the next game, the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks are at home, and they're taking on their old rivals, the St George Illawarra Dragons.
The local derby.
Yeah, Shark Park. It's going to be packed with 12,500 people. So, on palmerbet.com, the head-to-head prices are the Sharks, $1.31, while the Dragons are at $3.50. The Dragons have a 9.5-point head start in the handicap betting. They're at $1.90, while with the actual 9.5-point handicap, the Sharks also are at $1.90. I think the Sharks will cover the handicap here. I think that they could put a whipping on the Dragons.
Yeah, I'm struggling to get a form on the Dragons at the moment.
Mm.
Bit of drama around the coach, but the team's they're not disgraceful.
No.
They're not falling away rapidly or anything like that. But they don't look like a team that's challenging to be a top 8 side at the same time.
I think it's a talent issue. I really do. I don't think it's a coaching issue. I just think you look at their lineup and there's just big holes in it. And I think that's all it is. I think that Griffin's done pretty well with the talent he's got at his disposal.
Basically what a lot of teams need to, in order to beat the Sharks, is a fullback that's good. Because the Sharks have got Moylan, who's got a good all-round kicking game. Nico Hines has got some pretty good bombs, a good long kicking game on him. And then you've got things like Wade Graham with that short kicking game that can go anywhere. You can pull it out of nowhere. You've got Cameron McInnes and Blake Brayley, who's got a decent kicking game as well. Braden Trindle's on the bench with a good kicking game. You've got all of these blokes who can kick the ball. You need to have a good fullback who can counter all of that and all the variations of that kicking game that they're going to throw at you. And the Dragons have got Moses and Bai.
Feels like an issue.
It's a massive fucking concern.
It's not a good plan A.
He's got very poor kick return game on him. his judgment under the high ball is very, very questionable. I'm being as kind as I can, Moses. I would not ever put him at fullback. I would have Aaron Woods at fullback before I put in Moses and at fullback because you know he's going to do a kick return. Jesus Christ, that's a concern.
Yeah, that's rough.
I look at the Dragons team every single week and I just go, poor Ben Hunt.
Yeah, well, the last thing Ben Hunt is poor, first of all. But yeah, I get what you mean.
That's true. Look, I think the thing though is, I don't think the Sharks are going to run away with this, but I expect them to win. I don't think it's going to be a flogging because I don't know. I think the Dragons will live for this game because they like to live for their rivalry games.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that long trip from Cogra Oval to Shark Park, the 5-minute trip. So we'll see how it goes.
Go over Tom Ugly's bridge.
Yeah. Now, on Sunday afternoon, we have the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs rejuvenated after ditching the Albatross. And they take on the North Queensland Cowboys, who are also rejuvenated themselves this year. Now, the North Queensland Cowboys are favourites on Palmerbet.com in this one. They are at $1.31, while the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs are at $3.50. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs have a 9.5-point head start at $1.90.
Ooh, that seems long.
While with the 9.5-point handicap, the Cowboys are at $1.90 as well. I don't know. I think the Cowboys are in good enough form that they could cover that handicap, but I'd probably just stick to the head-to-head price of $1.31.
Yeah, I think the Bulldogs' attack is too good that they're going to I'm not going to say I expect them to win, but I can see them being capable of getting 20 points on the board. Because they've been doing that almost religiously since Potter got in. A coach who knows how to stage a basic attack.
It's funny how much coaching comes into coaching, hey?
Yeah. Some assistant coaches can make it as a head coach, like Mick Potter, and some of them should never, ever be in the fucking job at all.
Never, ever, ever. It's weird. Episode 21. Go back and listen to it.
Yeah. That is thorough and in-depth.
It's all you need to know.
You get everything you need to know. And it hasn't aged at all.
Not at all.
That is an issue with a lot of podcasts. Episode 21 never ages.
It's current. It's current till today.
Yeah. Find me a podcast that can do that.
Exactly. Now, Andrew, I don't know what you're doing on Sunday afternoon.
Working.
I think you should.
Fuck for that.
I think you should quit just to watch this match because this is gonna be a doozy.
A ding dong.
Yeah, it's gonna be a dong at least. Palmerbet.com brings us the West Tigers taking on the Newcastle Knights. Now, I don't think I've said this year. The West Tigers are favourites.
Oh, fuck.
At $1.54.
That's never good.
To the Newcastle Knights, $2.50 in the head-to-head.
That's never good.
I'm sure that they'll use that as good motivation.
Yeah, I'm confident that the Tigers have lost around about 75% of the games that they've been favourites in their entire history.
Now, in the handicap betting, the West Tigers have Justin Potato and the Newcastle Knights have Adam O'Brien. No, sorry. What I mean is the West Tigers...
That's pretty even.
Yeah, no, that's a rough one. I don't know who I'd choose there. The West Tigers have a 4.5-point handicap in this game. They're at $1.90. The Newcastle Knights have a 4.5-point head start. They are also at $1.90. Andrew, I think we should bring in relegation.
You can't do that to the lower grades. Let's just have a look here at the form line for these two teams because it's a bit different at the moment, I think.
Okay.
The Knights have lost their last 4 games. Their last 3, they've scored 12 points, and 10 points and conceded 106. 108, sorry. The Tigers have had 2 wins and a loss. They've scored 16, 26, and 32, conceded 63 points.
Okay, so the West Tigers are getting better in attack.
And defence.
Although it must be said that the last result had no Luke Brooks, so they bring the handbrake back this week, don't
It's
they?
also worth noting that those last 3 games the Tigers have played were against Penrith, the Cowboys, and the Broncos, all in the top 8.
Look, they're good teams.
The Knights played Manly, Roosters, and Bulldogs. I think the Roosters might have been 8th, Manly 9th, Bulldogs way down further. So the Knights have been worse in attack, worse in defence against worse opposition than the Tigers. So I'll go with the Tigers to probably lose by 50. No. I'll back the Tigers because I always do. And to be honest, they should win this. I've seen nothing from the Knights in the last month that suggests that they are getting better. All I see them is playing more and more boring football and so much insane reliance on Kalen Ponga. And with him not there, they are dead in the water.
I would also say that this whole thing with David Klemmer, where they're like, well, you got to show cause or you're going to be suspended. And I just feel like David Klemmer will go.
Oh, I mean, he's not even playing this weekend, which is a huge bonus for the Tigers.
I just think he'll go, all right. And he won't give a shit.
What would be great?
He gets sacked, you know.
What would be great is if he says, you know what, fuck yous, I'll leave. I don't even want my contract paid out. And the Tigers say, we'll sign you. And we want you to play this weekend. We'll put you in the front row. And imagine how much damage he'll do to the Knights as he's running through them.
I don't know if you're allowed to.
No, you're going to have like a 7-day cooling off or some shit. But geez, that'd be awesome.
But I don't know that any team would be able to sign Klemmer for the rest of the year, just for the simple fact that I don't know if this is the case, but I think that he wouldn't be able to be part of another team's finals campaign because you'd have to worry about it for the West Tigers. Yeah, what am I talking about? Go to the West Tigers.
It'd be fine. And besides, the Tigers have just got rid of a bloke who's on about the similar wage for the rest of the year in Nofaluma.
Wouldn't it be funny because the thing from some West Tigers fans, not all of them, but some of them, they were saying, well, we're going to use that money to upgrade contracts of young players. Wouldn't it be funny if they just splurged it on David Klemmer to do nothing, to achieve nothing? It would be very West Tigery.
What would be very West Tiger is if they actually listened to those idiot fans and went and upgraded contracts and then went, oh, we can't actually have any of those players play because Nofaluna's come back and we didn't actually get any Surrey Cup. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, exactly.
We've already signed him for next year. You can't upgrade contracts now for this year. They've already signed those contracts last year. The contracts you think that they can upgrade are for next year. Nofaluma's back next year. He's not saved us any money in the future. We're in the same position. The only money he's freed up is the ability for us to have players outside of the 30-man squad getting match payments to play, which is why we're starting to see a few younger blokes come in. I think we've got Polly, Austin Diaz, Thomas Freeban, he's coming from the New South Wales Cup side. These guys are able to, we can actually pay them to come through and play now. That's all you can do with it. That's it.
I got a question. Did you see the meet and greet that the West Tigers were putting on for their fans?
No. I don't get invited to those.
They were doing a meet and greet for West Tigers supporters. Price of entry was $70.
Fucking hell.
I'm not even kidding, hey.
They charge us to watch them play like dog shit, and then they charge us to meet them. No wonder the fucking books are good. Every time there's anything to do with the fans, fucking potatoes, they're picking money out of your pockets.
Listen.
Fucking hell.
I don't judge footy fans because what you do with your money is your business, right? But what sort of putrid cunt of a person do you have to be to want to spend $70 to meet players that are winning the wooden spoon currently?
Look, the thing is, okay, look, my wife's a Sharks fan, right? Mm. When the Sharks come down here to Melbourne, she was able to organise, just as a fan with the club, say, is there any chance that we can have a meet and greet with the players one time they come down to Melbourne? And the club went, yep, no worries. Meet us at this location, we can sign some stuff, and that was it. Not a single fucking cent was spent by a single fan because that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And here's the West Tigers going, $70. You're going, fuck off.
$70 per person.
Fuck off.
Per person.
For a team that was running last. I mean, they're second last now. Whoopee.
Like, say it was the Panthers, right? And they're doing some sort of function around it and stuff. And you could kind of in your head, like, create this sort of whole thing, and say, well, it's very expensive. It's not on to charge that, but, you get to get your picture taken with the premiership trophy. You get to meet these premiership players and stuff. They're in last place. Fucking last.
It's rude.
It really
is. It's fucking rude.
It's rude. It is very rude. Well, look, that's our wrap up of the upcoming games for Palmerbet.com. Remember, go to Palmerbet.com for all the best betting odds in rugby league and other sports and racing and all that sort of stuff. They're our major sponsor this year, and we love working with them. Always remember to gamble responsibly, and always remember that these are just our opinions on who to bet on and who we would tip and all that sort of stuff. If you don't agree with it, do your own tipping and your own betting and stuff like that. But this is just who we would think and we would put our money on.
Exactly. And, just because we're experts doesn't mean we're always right. I think you were wrong once in 2001.
I did get wrong once in 2001, yes.
And look, I'm pretty sure I was wrong once, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. So, we are human, almost.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. Barely. That's... that's what the gamble responsibly thing's all about, isn't it?
Exactly. All right, should we wrap this up? Because I just got something delivered, and I want to play with my toys.
You do. I reckon we just keep you away from it for a bit longer.
No.
Let's see how dedicated you are to this podcast.
I've got 13 inches of sweet Iron Man goodness I'm about to play with.
Freaky's Barbie dolls have arrived.
It's actually a kit to light one of them up. So
whatever. That does raise one thing we need to mention. If you're not following League Freak on Instagram and giving him shit over his fucking Barbie dolls like I am, then you need to go check it out. He loves it.
They're high-end collectibles.
Yeah, so go over there and check out his Barbie dolls. They're great.
If you follow The Glorious League Freak, no spaces, and you'll see some of the shit.
It's all wonderful.
You'll just see Andrew bullying me on there too. Fucking prick. Anyway, it's been a good episode.
It has indeed. We've got a bit of West Tigers rage in there, which wasn't expected.
Mm-hmm.
I lie. So thank you once again, obviously, to Palmerbet. Check out Palmerbet.com for all your betting needs. Always gamble responsibly. Can't stress that often enough. Make sure you check us out on the socials, on Instagram and Twitter at Fergo Freak Pod. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, MySpace. So check us out on all of those. And let's wrap this turkey up. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy the footy, and we'll catch us all later.
Palmerbet with the big don't argue. Punters will love that. Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.